25 stories from murderers. I'm dead serious. According to Reddit, number 25, similar to the others, I was the driver in a car crash, slid on some black ice on the freeway, spun a few times before getting T-boned by an SUV going full speed. Friend in the passenger seat busted up his head in the windshield. My brother behind me fractured his skull. My best friend in the passenger side back seat died. My friend at the time used humor to get through things. I have a dark sense of humor, but they consistently went too far, and I ended up leaving all of my close friends for years after I had to go to court because of the others that were affected by the crash, and my friend's mom was trying to see me for more money than $100,000 my insurance already paid out. I used to scream out in my sleep. I dropped out of college shortly after and attempted suicide. Much better now, but 5 years later, and I still get anxiety when it snows. You know, Kaya wants to say something like when it rains it pours, but not only does that barely fit, but what are you trying to do, make a joke? A guy killed another people, you know, wow, Kaya. It's a time and a place. A response to this says, I'm so sorry. That's the crazy thing about black ice and life. I was going 70 miles per hour on a highway in the bright sunshine, clear road, and I round a curve that cast a shadow over the road. And for the whole 20-foot stretch was pure black ice. My van spun 2 times, stalled out, and I wound up broadside in the opposite lane. Luckily, amazingly, there was no one else on my side or in the oncoming lane. I was able to take the 10 seconds to restart the van, pull back, and drive forward with no greater incident besides an elevated heart rate. On a different day, with different set of circumstances, I easily could have been hit by a truck going 70. I really hope you can find peace with this tragedy. It sounds like it was an accident. You weren't drag racing, you weren't drunk. It was just the machinations of life on a bad day. Sometimes when it's your time, baby. Number 24. Was backing up my car. My neighbor's 4-year-old daughter snuck up and ended up under the tire. Thought it was a trash bag. Stopped, got out, saw what I had done, rushed her to the hospital. Died 2 days later. 1 week later, I moved out of the neighborhood. Couldn't stay after something like that. You know, I got a fence outside of my house. But still, there's an outer driveway, and I wanna pretend that some crashes have not come close to occurring. But I want to say, if ever I were going to crash in my entire life, it would have been backing out of my driveway. Nothing has come close, nothing crazy has happened, but I think that's one of the easiest places to not properly check behind your ass. And even when you do, you can't see little puppies scurrying, below the window and all kind of shit like this. We need to just advance time a little bit so we can all have cars with, cameras on the bumper and shit like this. Holy crap, I feel terrible for this guy. A response says, I have 2 young kids and this scares the shit out of me. It's such a tragic thing that can happen so easily, even if everybody is being cautious, because kids are kids. Whoever invented backup cameras deserves all the awards. How interesting. I was just talking about that. That's so interesting. A response to this response reads, I've babysat kids off and on for many years. And to the best of my ability, I drill into their heads to be careful around moving vehicles. The thing is, many parents hate having their kids disciplined. I'm not saying the poster neighbor. Ugh. I'm not saying that the poster's neighbor's case. Oh, what they meant is that I'm not saying that is the poster's neighbor's case. But they only wrote one that. What are you going to do? I'm not saying that this is the poster's neighbor's case, but so you have an idea of what often happens. One time, a 5-year-old I was babysitting simply took off across the road by herself. Fortunately, we were on a small street by a school, so the 2 cars that were coming from either direction stopped. I freaked the fuck out. I was very angry. I was very stern with her, to the point that she cried, but I was like, bitch, you could cry all you want. I'm kidding. I don't need to get involved in this. You never ever cross the road by yourself. Of course, I told her mother what happened, and the mom didn't think much of it. She lightly said, oh, thanks for doing that. She does that all the time. What the fuck? As a parent, you really need to get up these little kids' ass unless you want them dead. Maybe she wanted them dead. Moving on, Kyle. Don't even get into it. Number 23. I still remember it like it was yesterday. June 21st, 2007. Baghdad. A squad member of mine was just killed, and we were headed to the nearest forward operating base to regroup. And recover. I was the lead vehicle and noticed a white car driving in our lane straight for us. The adrenaline from the previous explosion and firefight still coursing through me. I do everything I can to stop the vehicle, and armed signals, shouting, a damn whistle even, nothing. So I give a warning shot, still no response. The vehicle is in our lane coming right at us. So I light the car up. It veers off, hits a Jersey barrier, and stops. There is barely enough room to squeak by the car without hitting it, but as we are clearing it, I see a man with his wife and baby in the backseat. All dead. The fucking asshole should have paid attention. But then again, maybe that's what he was supposed to do. I'll never know. But the image of a bullet-ridden baby will haunt me until I die. Iraq sucks, man. It's the first time I've shared my story in public forum, and I am way too shaken to reread this, but it honestly feels really good. War, baby. What is it good for? A response reads, I have no military experience myself, but my eldest brother spent 22 years in one of the Queen's Guard regiments here in the UK. He went to a few war zones in his time, and he always said that the true war was total chaos. No one ever knew what was going on until after it was done. It is now my firm belief that it is the politicians that should be held responsible for putting soldiers in positions where simple misunderstandings can have such grave consequences. All their talk of precious strikes and clinical attacks are bollocks. The truth is, you did what you have been trained to do and did it well. As you mentioned, if you had a reaction differently, it could have very easily have been on the receiving end. Soldiers in modern war zones deserve way more respect than they are given. Hope they come to terms with this in time. You know, maybe this won't be the place for this. I know you hate me interjecting. Fuck you, it's my channel. Watched an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation last night called The Hunted that dealt with what a government did to its soldiers. Like, it trained them in a certain way, enhanced their abilities, made them get crazy when it was like fight or flight time. And basically it allowed them to go above and beyond, pushing, past the barriers that you would imagine a normal person would be able to get the job done, so to speak. The problem came with their reintegration into society, or to put it better, the lack or, failure and capacity for them to be reintegrated because they couldn't turn it off. And you see this in real life where they're trained to basically be an animal and allow instinct to take over and survive and get the job done. And the bottom line is, old men are sending young guys to go fight these wars. And when it's time for them to come back, there is less than a system in place to help them reintegrate into society, to bring them back down. There's no way to unteach them the things that they've been taught. And even if there was, there isn't a way to erase the things that they've done and seen. And it's such a big failure. It's such a big dropped ball as it pertains to, the way things go over there, that as rude as it is to say, better some of them have died over there than come back to try to work their asses back into fucking society, because it really, the way things go here, the hoops you got to jump through, it's not gonna work. It doesn't work sometimes. And then the way that they treat the vets is so disrespectful that it's like, fuck me, man. Fuck me. War sucks. War sucks. When 22, I was being raped, and I ended up causing bodily harm resulting in death. I was underage. You fucking go, girl. Or boy, but I think it was a girl. You fucking go. That's what I'm talking about. Besides a whole lot of personal trauma and my family abandoning me. That's family for you, my nigga. You know what I mean? A lot of families will, they won't have your back when it comes to you. And that's crazy. You know what I mean? Racist families disowning people because, I don't like the gender or the race of the person that you're with, Crazy. Because it's all about them, and they need you to live a life that it falls into the guidelines that they've set, and you jump through the same hoops that they do, and they're prejudiced and they're bigots, so they need you to fall in line. You better follow suit. Again, she should be glad to be able, or she or he should be able to be glad that they've shaken these assholes off of them and can now live a life worthy of someone so disrespected. Besides a whole lot of personal trauma and my family abandoning me, nothing legally happened in the long run. It was caught on surveillance. He would have been going to jail, but very glad for you. You killed your rapist. I know it sounds bad, but you go, girl. But there is no reason to feel bad about killing him. He took the risk, ruining your life and forcing you into a traumatizing unwanted sex that if he hasn't already harmed you, he could have caused you harm. You fought back. That takes guts, dude. For real. I've never been proud of somebody this hard reading their post here. So let's continue, guys. Yeah, this is exactly the kind of list you're looking for. You morbid fuck. I'm talking to you, listener. Number 21. I killed 2 kids in Afghanistan. Jeez. They almost killed me. What are you gonna do, man, They were maybe 12. Their Taliban uncle had pumped them full of drugs and sent them to attack us to get killed, so the village would be against us. Oh my God. These 12-year-old boys were chess pieces. They were pawns. The uncle sent his 12-year-old nephews out to get killed so that the village would hate him. Fuck that guy. I still see their faces in my dreams, and it was 7 years ago. Holy hell. Somebody else responds, I know this may not help you, but it's worth a try. The way their lives were headed, if it wasn't your bullets, it would have been the next guy's. I'm sorry for you, but take care of yourself. And that's very true, guys, a lot of times we get upset about shit, and here's something very real that I'm going to say to you. Okay. A lot of times the way that like an over the hill older person, or maybe your parents will explain something to you, is to say, oh, other people have it worse, so you shouldn't feel bad. Like, nigga, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? God forbid other people having things better and worse belittles the plight of anybody that's going through anything. It's almost like saying, you know, we shouldn't be happy because somebody else is happier. That's what you're saying when you're like, oh, you shouldn't be sad because someone else is sadder. You shouldn't be upset, you know, about not having this because some people have less. Like, shut the fuck up. Do you get what I'm saying? But as it applies to things like this, we have to think, like, step back and be appreciative that we're born where we are, not just time wise, not just like geographically, because if we were literally to just be like a state over, or maybe under some different parents, or maybe, you know, in a different time, shit would be so fucking stuck. We'd be so stuck. It'd be fucked for us. And we would have no manner of existence. It would just be like, hey, you're fodder, dude. You're gonna be like a backdrop in somebody else's story, and that's so fucked up. These poor 12-year-old kids in this story. I don't even feel bad for the dude killing the people, because war is war, baby. You know what I mean? Half the people that are going to war do not know what the hell they're signing up for. Forgive me, my pop filter has slipped away from the microphone, so you're probably hearing a lot of weird things as far as me poop pop pop beep beep pop, and we're fixing that right now. Number 20, guys. Woo. I made the incredibly difficult decision to sign a DNR, which means do not resuscitate. Meaning if the person stops breathing, you know, the paramedics should not try to bring them back, you know, with defibrillators and all kind of bullshit like this. This person says that they made the incredibly difficult decision to sign a do not resuscitate for my 3-year-old son. He suffered from multiple physical and intellectual disabilities. Oh, shit. He spent the majority of his life in and out of pediatric inpatient units. Eventually, I became so sad that the thought of his suffering and continual downhill slide that I made the decision to do no more. I took him home from the hospital, and about 2 weeks later, he went into respiratory distress and died. I held him for 16 hours as he struggled to breathe. And I remember begging the hospice nurse to keep giving him the morphine and Ativan to end it because my heart couldn't take it anymore. I know I didn't physically kill him, but I still made the mental decision to do so. It hurts each and every day. Wow. Fuck me. Can't get worse than that. Can't get worse than that. Cannot get worse than that. Number 19 here. I was working out of town, which is pretty common in my line of work, touring with bands. We had just started a new tour with an artist, but as a crew, a bunch of us had been working for several artists over the last few years. When you work these long hours, sometimes under ridiculous pressure and circumstances, and live on a tour bus, sleeping a few feet away from 11 other grown adults, one of two things happen. Number one, you just get in with it, drink away any sadness you have from being so exhausted and missing your family and friends because you haven't seen them in months, or you become incredibly close like a family. You're together through everything, long, incredibly hard days, or experiencing the joy of something or somewhere new. On this particular tour, it was going to be a smaller group of us than the last tour. No need for a video technician. But we really liked the video technician. We had done a year or two together, and he was a really great kid. Always saw the bright side of everything. You could say you could always count on him to have a smile on his face, no matter how many hours we had been working. Not really liking where this is going. Lucky for the tour, more video equipment was added, and so he came out to join us right as we were going into rehearsals for the tour. We went through a week of rehearsals, then took a ferry to Victoria from Vancouver to start the tour. First show done, we all had a great time, a really easy first day. Load in, the install, went quickly. The show went off without a hitch, and we finished a few hours earlier than we expected. We went back to the hotel. He wrote that, nigga. I can't make this shit up. We went back to the hotel. Look, We went back to the hotel to get some food and have a drink. Our rooms were next to each other. It was a nice spring night. We sat outside on our adjoining balconies. He was a wine expert. He loved red wine. I had an unopened bottle in my room, and he had an unopened bottle of white in his room, which he knew I liked. He leaned over his railing to pass me a bottle, which I easily grabbed from him. The balconies were so close together, so I passed him the bottle of red from my room, but he slipped on the wet balcony. After this point, I have no memory of any sounds, but everyone on the tour staying on that side of the hotel heard me screaming. I saw him go over the railing. I saw him hit the side of the hotel. I saw him land 50 feet below me. I ran to the elevator, yelled at the front desk to call 911 on my way past, but it was too late. It wouldn't have mattered. I got him and looked into his eyes, and they were lifeless. A large piece of the back of his head was a few feet from us. I held his hand and sobbed that I was sorry until a security guard pulled me off. From that day, we were a tour family, connected by the worst bond imaginable. And somebody said, he says, and yeah, his name was Johan. He is missed every day. Number 18. Undercooked food at a barbecue. Woman got food poisoning. Complications arose because of pre-existing conditions. She got septic and died. She had just recently had a baby, so that was left without a mother. Go me. Double bubble with that fuck up. So don't cook while drunk, kids, because you might kill someone. Somebody said this is easily the most innocent post in the thread. Well, you know how many people have fed me shrimp without me knowing? When I typically go out of my way to make it apparent that I am allergic to shellfish. Number 17. Oh God, I haven't thought about this in forever. When I was 4 or 5, I was in the U.S. visiting family, and at one of my brother's soccer games, we decided to use a hammer. Used to put soccer banners up to play golf with the soccer balls. I wound up pulling the hammer back, and this little girl around 3 walked by me. I caught her head with the hammer, and everything was a blur, but she died. My family didn't bring it up until 6 months ago. Oh my God. That's crazy. Did you not know exactly what happened? Asked someone else. And he says, no. I knew. All the adults were swarming, and there was a ton of blood. I knew something bad happened. How and why did your parents bring it up to you 6 months ago? He says, we were all laughing and talking at dinner table, and I was really upset with my dad. He had kicked me and both of my brothers out on Christmas the year before, and I said, I swear in that moment, I think I could have killed them. And my brother said, it wouldn't be the first time. I would have laughed it off, but my mom hadn't looked at him like that. My mom hadn't looked at him like he had shot the Pope or something. You mean had looked at him. Your brother's fucking dark. Well. Number 16. I was 19. I went over to my girlfriend's house one Saturday morning and we hung out until around 4 p.m. She was going over to her friend's house to go swimming, but I had other plans, so I didn't go. Her mom asked her to take a bag of trash to the dump when she went. So I told her I'd follow her to the dump and throw it out since it was on my way. I pulled in behind her at the dump. I grabbed the bag out of the back. She was driving her dad's truck because she didn't want trash in her car, and I tossed it in the dumpster. I banged on the truck bed twice to let her know she could go and said bye. I realized after I left I didn't say I love you. Oh shit. Like I usually did. So I sent her a text message. Oh shit. She didn't answer me back, so I just assumed that she didn't hear her phone. Her dad's truck had loud exhaust, so it made sense. I lived about 40 minutes away. When I walked in my front door, I got a phone call from her mom. She was in panic. She told me there had been a wreck. My girlfriend was alive, but she was being flown by helicopter to VCU Medical Center in Richmond, Virginia. I ran to my car and I didn't take my foot off the accelerator until I got to her parents' house. We got in her mom's car and made a 2-hour drive to Richmond. When we arrived, we walked into the emergency department and went to the front desk. Her dad told the receptionist who he was looking for. At the same time, a doctor was standing behind the counter. I'm so sorry. It's because I farted. Okay. I do not want you to think I'm laughing at the idea of death, okay? I had to quickly mute the mic because my fart ringtone, I told you I have a ringtone and it's a fart noise, went off. And, you know, I don't want people hearing that and going, oh my God, did he fart? But it's always funny when listen. The receptionist said that the name wasn't in the system, so she spun around and asked the doctor. It's not funny. It's just, come on. He walked out, introduced himself, asked a few questions to confirm who we were. Then he said she was dead. I was standing by a wall. I fell back against it and slid down to the floor, where I sat for a while in pure disbelief. Her parents went down the hall to talk to someone about something. I walked outside and sat beside a big column and smoked a cigarette. I called my parents. It didn't seem like I sat there very long, but I'm sure it was at least 3 to 4 hours. I just sat there. There are no words to describe that kind of hurt. Most of the next few weeks are missing from my memory. I just laid in my bed and cried. I didn't eat and I didn't sleep. I just cried and stared at the wall. I cried until there were no more tears left, and I cried some more. I weighed 160 before she crashed. I weighed 120 pounds a month and a half after she died. I know it was hard on my parents watching me like that. My mom tried to get me out to eat. I wouldn't. They tried to get me out of bed. I wouldn't. They even called a pastor to come talk to me. I told him to go fuck himself. God damn it. I just pressed the button to mute the mic, and it like muted it for as long as I was pressing the button, and then it unmuted it. Fucking kidding me. I know it was hard on my parents watching me like that. My mom tried to, okay, what the fuck? Where are you? The way that this is written is killing me, man. Just give me a couple of indentations or something. I told him to go fuck himself. There was nothing that could console me. The love of my life was dead, and I sent the text message that killed her. One day I just snapped out of it. I got up to go to the bathroom and saw my reflection in the mirror. I barely recognized my own face. I knew I had the choice to move on with my life, or I'd be dead myself. I'm from a small town, so the only thing for young people to do was hang out in the Walmart parking lot. I got dressed and drove to Walmart. I saw a few people I knew, so I stopped and talked to them. From then on, I spent every evening hanging out in the parking lot. The cops would come around and kick us out, so we'd find somewhere else to park and hang out for some more time. A year later, we got kicked out of the lot by the cops one night, so we decided to go to somebody's house and drink some beer. We all made phone calls and invited people over. It was there at my friend's house that I met my next girlfriend. 2 years later, we got married. This month, we celebrate our 17th anniversary. We have 2 beautiful children, and I've never been happier. And I know the time will heal all wounds is really worn out and a cliche, but it's true. A couple of years ago, I was digging through my mom's cedar chest looking for my birth certificate, and I found a newspaper clipping from the accident. The newspaper said that the motorist reported swerved to miss a dog, overcorrected the flip in the truck, and I never knew that was the cause. Knowing that it wasn't my text message lifted a huge burden, but I still don't text. So you didn't actually kill her, because you found a newspaper clipping that said some idiot motorist was swerving to avoid some bullshit, and that's what killed her. So even though you weren't the one that killed her, you were dying to write your story about someone else killing someone close to you and how you cried and lost all this weight. You're killing me, bitch. You're fucking killing me. Thanks for pissing me off to bring a real Kyle back, because that stupid story about the fucking kid dying in his dad's arm when he's developmentally and fucking physically fucked. Oh, man. Number 15. Why is 14 deleted? Let's deal with this first. 14 is deleted. Saved your dad. There's no shame in that. I'd be proud if I was him. I'm guessing, you know, from context clues, maybe someone attacked somebody's father and they acted in self-defense. Somebody else says, I was expecting the story to end with your father being killed, which is likely what would have happened if you didn't intervene. You saved your dad's life. Well, way to delete your story, you punk bitch. Number 15, man. I was around the age of 8. I accidentally jumped on my mom's stomach when she was pregnant, not realizing that it could hurt the unborn child. It died. She hasn't ever brought it up, and I'm a senior in high school. It still gets to me time to time. For the most part, I try to forget it, but man, when I do get to thinking about it, it hurts. It should, you fuck. You were only 8. Please forgive yourself. 8 is old enough. 8 is old enough. And I'm not sure who to place blame with here for. Because, I mean, yo, I don't expect kids to understand the nuances of pregnancy and how, you know, a woman gives birth to a child or how a child is conceived. But, you know, I would imagine that when the kid's old enough to stand, they need to know that, you know, mommy is fragile if she's pregnant. And there's a baby in there. There's another one of you in here. And I need to be, you know, dealt with very delicately and gingerly. You need to be very, very, you know, fucking careful with mommy. You need to be careful around mommy. Never smack the tummy. Never jump on the tummy. 8 is old, nigga. I don't care what anybody in this fucking thread has to say, because if you think otherwise, then you don't have kids, okay? And an 8-year-old could easily have killed himself running around ignorant to the point where he doesn't know that, like, a pregnant big belly, you know what I mean? And to be honest, if you are a parent and you have a kid, you would almost make sure that this kid knows that, not just for your sake if you were a pregnant mom, but for other people's sake. Because could you imagine if, like, your kid was out in public, or maybe you were hanging out with a friend who's pregnant and your dumbass kid running around smacking bellies or grabbing them and going, why is it so big, and all this bullshit? You would make sure that your kids are in line, because that's crazy, dude. You jumped on your pregnant mom at 8 years old and killed your... Woo! Woo! Number 13, baby. This list is wild. I was 12 when it happened. And as much as it was a pure accident, my life was better afterward. Wow. My mom and I were living with her boyfriend at the time. This man was a drunk and an abuser. I came home one day from school to find him beating my mom down in the kitchen. I had never ever even thought about standing up to this guy. He was about 6'3", very broad that day. I came home from school. It made me summon the courage that I had to save my mom, as I ran over to them and grabbed a fork from the table and stabbed him through his shoulder on the back. It scared him so much that he had a heart attack and died on the floor. You killed a man with a fork. Go you, bro. You killed a man with a fork. You scared this nigga to death. His heart went bunny heart. His heart went rabbit heart and fucking gave out, son. But that's what you get for beating up your moms, nigga. I expected you to grab a knife. That's what I expected to be in the story. I expected to hear, and then I grabbed a knife and ended it once and for all. You stabbed him in the shoulder with a fork and his heart went bunny. And he dead now, baby. Well, maybe it'll teach your mom to stop being so stupid and just, you know, I mean, a lot of women over the hill that can't baby trap a man and don't have their looks on their, you know, favor. You can't give a dude good enough pussy to, like, keep him with you. You know what I mean? You got to either be young, you got to either have it going on, you got to be able to baby trap the dude. You know what I'm talking about? Ladies. You know what I'm talking about, ladies? You know that this is somebody's first list and they're like, oh my God, what is this guy talking about? I'm talking about real shit, all right? And if you don't think that this shit is real, then your experience in life is incomplete. Number 12. I'm not sure if it counts, but I was a truck driver in training, actually. I had the misfortune to be the tool someone else used to commit suicide. Damn. Was it the cop? Was it the cop? Because I've seen one where a cop jumped out in front of a fucking truck and made him the killer. We were driving late at night on US 277 between Piedras Negras and Del Rio. I don't know if that's how any of that's pronounced. It's kind of the armpit of Texas, flat, straight, boring, right near the border, and I was at the wheel. My driver mentor was in his bunk, but awake chatting with me. I saw headlights ahead, a long way off. Didn't think anything of it. After a while, they got close, and it looked like they went to turn left. Only the road wasn't there. There wasn't any road there. Then they straightened out and drove right into us head on. I had just enough time to see that it was a Tacoma, and the driver was male. All I could do was let go of the steering wheel and hit the brakes. We were busted up pretty bad, but we cut the pickup in two. I had broken a wrist. My mentor had a bunch of broken ribs and a bruised liver. Faggot. You know what I mean? I was thinking about doing a list of the most selfish suicides that I would obviously have to research because that's a very specific criteria. But I figured the video would do pretty well if I could, take the time to research it. But like, this is it. The type of shit that's leaving a big mess, the type of shit that's getting other people involved. You're doing it in a big crowd or something like this, or at a theme park. You're jumping in front of someone else, dude. Not even fuck the fact that you're making one other person your murderer, and now they gotta live with the fact that they ran somebody over. Imagine hurting them. Imagine causing the truck to veer into other traffic and causing a pileup, dude. How can you be so selfish? You know what I mean? You don't care about life, so fuck everybody else in their life. It's scary because that mentality extends to everybody else, even in their living. Some people are so miserable. Some people are so unhappy. Some people are so racist. Some people are so crazy that if they can't live a life where they're utterly happy, they don't feel like anybody else should live that life happy too. And that's fucked. And here we're seeing it even in death. They're making the thing that they do to go out cost people that have nothing to do with them. Holy shit. Ugh. Bruised liver, broke a bunch of ribs, the mentor, and the other guy broke his wrist. Fuck. We got out to see the damage, and when we walked to the rear, I saw a work boot sitting on the double yellow line. About 6 inches of the leg was sticking out. I still get an odd feeling in my stomach when I think about it. Obviously, I didn't plan to kill the guy, and there wasn't much I could do without foreknowledge. Some eyes aren't exactly nimble, but it still takes a bit to tell yourself you couldn't have done something else. He had a young wife and 2 little girls, and he chose to end his own life by endangering the lives of other people. Let that be the legacy you leave for your children and the woman you were with. I want to judge the guy, but I don't know the guy well enough or the contents of his life. Was the wife running around on him? Was he just utterly depressed? What leads a person to do this kind of thing? But again, the way in which you chose to do it was selfish. So I can't say I want to have pity on you, dude. Just because things are hard for you doesn't mean things need to be hard for everybody else. Number 11. I was supposed to get up and check on my mom. She'd been fighting cancer for 4 years. Oh no, I was supposed to get up and check on my mom. You know where this is going, bro. You know what I mean? It doesn't take some kind of scholar to know where this is going. I was supposed to get up and check on my mom. Fuck. She'd been fighting cancer for 4 years and had been the majority of my mid-20s. Spent my time on her, left college, etc. She was planning on getting up and driving herself to her doctor's that day, but I usually check on her because she can have bad days. I'm so sorry. I feel like I have heartburn. I need some damn Tums or some Pepto-Bismol or something. Ooh, bah. You know what it was? It was the fucking Taco Bell I had. Oh, Taco Bell. I overslept. It was nearly 11 a.m. and I woke up to a phone call from my dad saying the doctors hadn't seen her. I checked upstairs in her room, the kitchen, nothing. Then I saw the bathroom door open a crack. What was in there was basically half a mummy on the floor and feces everywhere mixed with vomit. I don't know what happened, but I called 911 without stepping in the bathroom. Hello? 911? My mom's dead. The flat pan explanation caught the poor guy off guard completely. I mean, I guess I was in shock, but not really that shocked, you know? He was in full panic mode. I followed along and pretended to perform CPR. Her eyes were white. She was covered in vomit, ice, cold, and drained like a mummy. Sometime later, I don't have an idea for time perspective. It was all moving very slowly. The paramedics showed up. We're a small town. Everyone knew us. I'm in my underpants, and the lead paramedic is a good friend from high school. What an awkward exchange it was. Not something I forgot. They pretended to do CPR for about 30 seconds. Then get a command to keep working on it in the truck. I messaged him on Facebook to ask if that was a show, which it was obviously. He said basically we always do on deceased at the scene. This was all difficult, but just a gory version of expectation. The next part haunts me. I had to call my dad back. He ran home from work. He ran around the house getting her things. He wanted to make sure her medical info for the ER's doctor and medication list. I kept trying to explain we wouldn't need it. I kept trying to keep him in this world. I was too much of a coward. I was speaking in riddles. I couldn't do it. We get to the ER, move to a small room with cheap furniture you only find in rooms where they tell you people die. The doctor came in, addressed him directly in what must have been at most 4 sentences. And then stared at him after. I'm sorry. It was like he had been run over by a car. He just sobbed into his hands for what felt like hours. He got up without a word and left the room. I found him nearly half an hour later pacing in the parking lot. We decided to get shit-faced. My fiance, now wife, found us somehow 2 hours later, 2 blocks away at a bar. To this day, I don't know how, she must have checked every bar in town, a total mess. She sat with us for hours. My dad now has a girlfriend. He thinks I hate him for that, but I don't. He's earned whatever happiness he can find. He pushed through the hardest 4 years of their life and tried to single-handedly beat cancer with no medical knowledge and no resources. He can be called a lot of shitty things in his life. But for 4 years, he showed me what character is. I just wished I could have been more courageous. It was my place to tell him, not that doctor. People die every day, nigga. Can't beat yourself up about it. I'm kidding. But you can't, people die, not all of us are so suited, to delivering such morbid news. In a world so seriously. Number 10. When I was young, I used to get bullied a lot. Sorry. Come on, Kyle. When I was young. Well, I'm supposed to read it all dreary and sad. When I was young. I used to get bullied a lot. I like where this is going. You standing up to a bully? Did you kill your bully? I was in the 9th grade, and I had this one person, a senior, that would harass me and sometimes hit me constantly. I always tried to just ignore it, but I had to walk outside to go to one of my classes, and he knew about it. Not a lot of people were around us. We were on the sidewalk walking down a hill towards the AG barn. The ag barn. Agriculture. He pushed me and I fell down a hill a little, but caught myself. I got angry. Angrier than I normally get. I got so angry that for the first time I pushed him back. Instead of falling to the side, or not falling at all like I thought he would, he fell right off the sidewalk onto the road for students parking and buses, and fell in front of a bus. There was a few people watching, and I called the police afterwards. I know he was bullying me, but I have nightmares about what I did still. Because of what people who saw said and camera outside the building. Luckily, I never suffered any consequences. But I almost wish I had. Get fucking real, bro. Maybe niggas shouldn't be bullying niggas. How about that? You ever thought about that one? You know, your ass would be in jail, you know, if it weren't for these fucking cameras. The bottom line is, self-defense is what it is. And you'd never be the person to hit first. As crazy as it is. As crazy as it is, man. So, come on. Number 9. I got caught in a bad situation with some muggers. In Pakistan, they kill you after they take your things. They don't leave folks alive that often. So I shot back. My man. That's what I would have left as a comment. My man. You know what I'm talking about? My man. Number 8. When I was around 6, I had a habit of sleeping on the stairs. One day, my sister, who was currently pregnant, was going down the stairs. I ended up tripping over me, fell down hard. She ended up miscarrying. I guess it's not killing someone in a traditional sense, but in a way, I did kill my unborn nephew. I never really got over it. It was still horrifying to me. What the fuck you doing sleeping on the stairs, you dumb motherfucker? Stupid ass kids. Can't have kids, man. Kids are dangerous, man. That's 2 kids inadvertently. Wait. Isn't it 3? Yes. One of the kids was 8 years old and he jumped on his mommy's belly. This is essentially the same. 6 years old, you sleeping on the stairs and tripping a pregnant lady. And then the other kid was 3 years old and he was using like a hammer with a ball and hit a bitch in the head or something like this. And this girl was like bleeding out. Are you kidding me? Let's get the hell through this, man. Number 7. I am a locomotive engineer. I drive trains. Number 13. No, wait, it's not number 13. 13 times in my 19 years so far, someone ended up in front of my train that didn't survive. 13 times? Wow. Suicide, poor judgment, or no sense of situational awareness combined with a vehicle that takes a mile or more to stop equals death about 50% of the time in my experience. The nightmare of various incidents awakes me regularly. Oh boy. Oh, this heartburn, girl. Oh my god. Oh my god, this heartburn. The nightmares of various incidents awaken me regularly. Pretty sure that I suffer PTSD, but if I do something about it, I will lose my job. Medically disqualified. I cannot let what happened at the moment as financial ruin would result. Please stay out of the path of my freight train. That's sad that it actually bothers them. Not that it shouldn't, you know. I'm not insinuating that people should be so cold that they drive in a train and they hit somebody that's trying to kill themselves and you just like, whoop, whoop. Oh my god. Number 6, I was the driver in a car accident with my 3 best friends. You said that kind of weird. The 3 of them died. I survived somehow. Just writing that makes me nauseous today. And I say today because every day is different. Some days I can talk about it or write about it and I'm okay, and some days I just want to go back in bed and cry and scream. And today apparently is one of those days. The thing is though, you never really know until something triggers you, and I hate that word, and it leads you into a spiral. Okay, I have to stop writing now. I'm sorry. That kind of sucks. Number 5, baby. People say euthanizing is illegal for humans in the US, but as a nurse, when I have palliative orders, they are to give narcotics and benzos every 5 minutes as needed. You bet your ass they're given every 5 minutes. I have killed people. They were about to die, and I hope that I took their pain away in the process, but the drugs I have given to take that pain away and contribute to their death at the same time. That being said, I have never done this without an order from a physician or without family consent. Throw away anyway, in case someone decides to pick a bone. Somebody responds, nurses like you helped my grandfather die with some dignity like he wanted. I've been neglecting a lot of, responses, huh? Here's the one about the locomotive engineer killing people. Somebody else said, a friend of mine works on a freight line. He will make jokes about it because, in his words, you either laugh about it or you crack. Yeah, you hear me say shit like that all the time. You either laugh or you're gonna cry. So it's the only thing keeping your ass alive. Remember some of the darkest times in my life, the only thing kept me alive was laughing at dumbass Ricky Gervais. Thank God for that, man. Number 4. On my first job out of college, I wrote the software used to track tigers so government of India could find out where they were going and where poachers were poaching. They found some poachers. Now there are fewer poachers and more tigers. It doesn't bother me. Oh shit, my computer isn't plugged in. Hold on. Oh shit. Are you kidding? How's the computer not plugging in? You on that bullshit computer, I swear to God. Computer's on the bullshit right now. Okay. Brilliant. This is very cool. Somebody else says, we ate some dirt and have some of the same demons. I was stationed in Gereshk near Leatherneck and did patrols in Sangin as well. If you need an ear, I'm here. It's 9 years later and I still have nightmares from the year I spent over there. Somebody else responds, I was over there. Wait, what the fuck? Oh shit, this is about some other bullshit that I didn't read. My bad, I thought it was the one about the tigers. So number 3 reads, in Afghanistan, I was in a really shitty town called Musakala that was infested with Taliban. My unit was in a firefight one day and I was leading my squad through an alleyway in between mud huts. Then this Taliban fighter came around the corner and stopped. He was about 10 feet away. He had his AK down by his wrist, but I had my weapon up on my shoulder. We both looked each other right in the eyes and I could see the fear on his face because he knew he was fucked. I shot him 5 times before he hit the ground. I saw his face in my dreams for months after. Jeez. But it's kill or be killed, bro. It's kill or be killed, bro. I can't. You gotta kill or be killed. Scary as fuck. Number 2, man. I was 13 years old living in Norway. Growing up, I loved climbing trees, so me and my friends would climb the tallest ones we could find. This ain't gonna be good. Our town in Norway was quite small and quite high in elevation, so the best trees were down towards the river. We decided to get together one Friday and head down to the river to do some climbing. We always took a backpack with lunch and snacks and water with us so we could hang out in our tree until dark. It was my friend's younger brother, 11, who was carrying the backpack full of snacks, and I was carrying the backpack full of drinks. My friend's younger brother was not as used to climbing the trees as we were, but like any little brother, he wasn't about to let that stand in his way and prevent him from hanging out with the big brother and his best friend. So, as it was a rare occurrence that we'd let him hang out with us in general. We were almost to the part of the tree where there was a spot for us to be able to sit. I got there first and I hung my backpack on the tree branch. I then told my friend's little brother to pass me his backpack so I could hang it on the branch and make it easier for him to get there. While he was passing me his backpack, his foot slipped off the branch, and he didn't have the upper body strength to carry his own weight yet. He fell the whole way down the tree, landed in the river onto jagged rocks, and was killed instantly. My friend and I were out of that tree faster than I even thought possible, and what we saw that day changed us forever. All he wanted to do was hang out with his big brother and do what the big kids were doing. I feel like if I never told him to pass the backpack, we'd all be in the tree right now drinking a beer, thinking back on all our ventures. But instead, my best childhood friend can no longer be in the same room as me. I have not heard from him or his family in over 10 years, and every single day of my life they pop into my mind and I remember what I did. Everyone tells me it wasn't my fault and it could have happened to anyone, but that doesn't erase the guilt I feel about asking for that stupid backpack. If anyone has a chance to read this, and if you're going to get anything from the story, it's that anything can happen anywhere at any time. And tell those you love that you love them, because you never know when someone will ask for their backpack. Oh shit. You never know when somebody gonna ask for their backpack though, baby. Number 1. I'll preface this by saying it was an accident. I was 11 years old and had gotten into that tinkering phase kids go through, and I was fiddling with my brakes, gears, etc. I went on a ride to a super steep hill. I was really popular to test my creation. As I was blasting down the hill, the nut that secures the handlebars jostles loose, and I lose all semblance of control. I can remember the car coming towards me from the opposite direction, but after that I hit the ground. The car swerved to miss me and went straight into a tree, killing the whole family: mom, dad, 2 sons. I lived in an extremely small town, and the aftermath was horrible. Long after the candlelight vigils that I still see in my nightmares and the memorials ended, I and my family were bullied, harassed, and generally shunned. Kids can be horrible, but as a child I understood that. But the adults of the town, they were cruel. They called me MK, Murder Kid. By the age 13, I attempted suicide. After a lengthy hospital stay, my family had to move across the state. Out of town, we went generations back in. I am all grown now and recently felt safe going back there and to the hill that changed everything. Part of my continuing therapy. The worst part about it is at the spot where they died, there is a perfectly maintained cross and flowers bearing the name. Someone still mourns them, brings flowers, and clears the weeds away. I was not prepared for that. It ripped open any feeling of closure I had. In my head, it was over for everyone but me. It wasn't. So how do I live now, one day at a time? There are good ones and bad ones. Not a day goes by that I don't think about it. It is like living with a disfigurement, perhaps that biblical mark of Cain. I feel others can see it in my eyes, the same way I can. Holy shit. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sitting through a Kyle list. This one was more than enough to capture your curiosity, I'm sure. The date today is March 12th. I'm going to be heading up to Lakeland, Florida for unfortunately a week where I will not have internet access. When I can, drive to McDonald's and see if I can get on the internet or something, I'll try to do that. Maybe I can, take a microphone and try to record something. What I'm intending to do is release this today. Today is Sunday. Maybe record 2 more videos or 3 more. I'll try to record 3 more. Release those, on a schedule throughout the week. I love you. I won't be home. So whatever you send, hopefully it just piles up. and I'll get it when I get home. LOL, you know? You guys take it easy, and, I guess I'll hear from you in the next list. Later.